Hello everybody, welcome along to Sportsbet TV. This is Paul Alster here with you. Really looking forward to 5 wonderful days of racing at Royal Ascot. And I've put a tie on for the first time since 2019 in honour of the occasion, but it might not last until day 2. We have some wonderful racing ahead, and if you're new to this service, then please press the subscribe button just below this screen, and you'll be kept in touch with all my free bulletins. Those that have been following me regularly since we started this off at the middle of last summer have been quids in. We've had some terrific big wins, and I'm all about looking for big priced, normally each way prices, and that's going to be very much the theme for this week. I'm not going to be giving you any short price tips. You can be absolutely certain of that. And because of that, we're going to miss the target quite a bit here and there. But hopefully, and as has proven the case in numerous occasions in the not too distant past, we will hit the target and will make things pay. So we have a great day to start off with on Tuesday at Royal Ascot. 7 races now at Royal Ascot these days. The weather is set fair for day 1, and the going could easily be good to firm all round. Now, there are thunderstorms forecast on Wednesday, so it's really good that I'm able to do my bulletins just the day before, so we'll be able to tailor our selections pretty much to the ground and the weather conditions, which is very important. Now, that was something I wasn't able to do for the Derby Festival, which was the last time I offered you some selections, which I put up on the Thursday, where everybody was expecting the ground to be fast. And then out of the blue, we had some very, very heavy rain. It didn't do my selections any good at all. We did have a couple that ran well and placed at double figure odds. But certainly Bolshoi Ballet, well, that wasn't a weather issue. He got injured early in the race and probably in hindsight did well in the Derby to stay prominent as long as he did. I'm sure he's going to bounce back because he's a very good horse, Bolshoi Ballet. As far as the winner, well done indeed to Adea, and great to see Adam Kirby winning a classic. I've got to say, I don't think it was a great Derby. You know, lots of people have been saying it was one of the outstanding performances of recent years. Well, first of all, the last 5 years, I think the Derby winners in general have been poor since Harzand and Golden Horn. And I'm not convinced this was a great race, with Max Swiney probably not over his Irish Guineas, with the favourite not running up to form and a few others not handling the track. But all credit to Adea, who's a really nice horse, certainly might be one for the St. Ledger going forward. Well, Royal Ascot it is. I'm going to go straight on to the first of my 4 tips on day 1, Tuesday, the 15th of June. And the opening race of the meeting, of course, is traditionally the Queen Anne Stakes. This is Group 1 over the straight mile, named after Queen Anne, who created the racecourse. I think it was first established as a racing venue in about 1711. That's just after 5:10. So the Queen Anne Stakes is always the very first race on the straight mile. It's a great spectacle, and for many people, we have the hottest favourite of the week, and for a lot of people, this will be the banker. A lot of tipsters will be going, understandably, with Palace Pier, because this is the outstanding miler of his generation, trained by Jonathan Thady Gosden. This recording is made at Monday noon British time, and he's a 4-9 chance to win, having done particularly well last season, establishing himself as a very high-class performer and showing that this year he remains on top of his game with that very authoritative victory at Newbury in the Lockage Stakes last time out. Now, 4-9 probably is about the right price. Would you want to lay any more if you were a bookie? But, you know, horses do get beat. Odds-on favourites sometimes get out of the bed the wrong side, so to speak, and don't come up to scratch. And I just wouldn't want to play at 4-9, especially on this very fast ground, as anticipated on Tuesday, because this is a horse who acts so well on soft ground that you have to wonder whether it'll be quite as effective on this particular surface. He has won as a young horse on a quick surface, but this is a total different ball game that we have here, because of course he's up against very high class performers. So if not Palace Pier, then where do we go? Well, Aidan O'Brien has a strong hand. He's got the Breeders' Cup Mile winner, Order of Australia, who loves to hear his hooves rattle. It was firm ground when he won over at Keeneland, but he hasn't had a run this season. And as far as I recall, he hasn't won first time out in his career. And a lot of Aidan's improved for a run. So while he may run very well indeed, I couldn't be with him, although he will go well. Now, Lope Fernandez, Aidan's other runner, was my tip for the lock-in, but he ran no sort of race when the ground really deteriorated. It suited Palace Pier. It did not suit Lope Fernandez, and Ryan Moore did not knock him about at all. He had a very easy time the last 2 furlongs. I think he'll get much closer to Palace Pier this time, but maybe not the best value each way bet in the race. Now, James Tate has Top Rank, who's a progressive horse. He was third to Palace Pier in the lock-in stakes, but was beaten 7 lengths. He is a nice horse, though, and I certainly wouldn't rule out him getting involved. But my selection here is a horse that kind of warms the cockles of your heart, and it's the 8-year-old Lord Glitters, who's trained by David O'Mara in Yorkshire, and the mount of Danny Tudhope, who gets on so well with this horse, and of course won this race in 2019 on Lord Glitters, who is pictured here. Well, this is a horse who is a globetrotter. He's been a wonderful money spinner for the Turnbulls, his owners. He's won over £1.8 million. He's won 9 very good races and placed 14 times, many of them at a high level. He also goes well on just about any surface, including quick ground. And when he won the Queen Anne, it was good ground in 2019. He was second to Accidental Agent on good to firm ground the year before. And he's run so many other very good races at Ascot in the past. So this, as John McClurrick, bless him, used to say, horses for courses. This is a horse who loves the course. He loves the big occasion. He loves that straight mile because he stays at least 9 furlongs. And because of the steep uphill finish, it brings his stamina into play. So while you may see him outpaced in the early part of the race, expect him to start to make his ground 2 furlongs out. Now, it might be that if Palace Pier brings his A game, he's already away and gone when Lord Glitters gets into full stride. But then again, you just never know. He may be coming home really fast, as has been the case in the past when he's run so well in this race. And I expect him to put it a really big performance. Now, his odds at the time of this recording are 22-1 each way with most firms. And I think that is a good value sporting bet to get our Royal Ascot underway. A place would be very nice. A win, well, that would be a sensational start, of course. So that is my first recommendation, Lord Glitters, each way in the opener on Tuesday, the Queen Anne Stakes. Now, the race after the Queen Anne is the Group 2 Coventry Stakes. This is a race for 2-year-olds, only over 6 furlongs, often a bit of a pointer to next year's Guineas. You get some very good horses who are likely to stay a mile. And it's an open renewal. There are 17 runners this year. And as ever, it looks a hot race. Now, many of them are unexposed after just 1 or 2 runs and open to, well, any amount of improvement. And Wesley Ward, the American trainer who's made a habit over the last decade and more of coming over and farming these sprint races at Royal Ascot, he's got a runner in this called Coffee Maker. It's only had the 1 run. It won at Keeneland over 4.5 furlongs, bolting in by 6 1/4 lengths, showing tremendous speed there. It's drawn 3 for this race, which I don't know if is going to be a good or a bad draw at this stage of proceedings, but it is a very, very fast horse. Now, will it stay the 6 furlongs on the stiff uphill finish? We've seen before quite a few of these real speedsters go off like the clappers and then get reeled in eventually. I wouldn't want to be playing at a favourite's price of around 3-1, 7-2, Coffee Maker. Other horses of interest include Gisburn for Richard Hannon, a 6-length winner at Newbury, who looks a very nice horse. The Gosdens have got Dabab, who won well at Leicester last time out. He was pretty impressive, actually. Aidan O'Brien has a horse called the Acropolis. Now, he won on his second start. That was at Listowel, a meeting I was covering on the Irish broadcasting that I do on a regular basis. He won in really good style, progressing massively from his first run, and there could be more to come from him. And Hugo Palmer has a very nice sort called Ebro River, who won the listed national stakes at Sandown. Now, that's a very stiff 5 furlongs, which he won on soft ground. So I wouldn't really have any concerns that he'll stay the 6. But my choice here is an Irish raider in the Coventry called Massetto, and it is trained by Aidan O'Brien's younger son, Donica O'Brien, and ridden by the up-and-coming young Irish jockey, baby-faced Gavin Ryan. So Massetto is the choice, a 65,000 guinea colt by Territories. He made a great start to his career, winning over 5.5 furlongs at Navan on his debut on good ground. And then he really caught a tartar last time out. But just before I come to his last run, from his first run, both the 2nd, 4th, and in fact the 5th have all come on and won since. So the form has really been franked again for that Navan victory. Now, his 2nd run was in the Group 3 Marble Hill Stakes, a really good race over in Ireland. It was on soft to heavy ground, which he coped with, but he couldn't cope with the winner, Castle Star, who was the original favourite for this race, the Coventry Stakes, but connections have decided to stay in Ireland and are looking at a Group 1 target there, just a little bit down the line. Now, if you get the chance to see the review of the Marble Hill Stakes, you'll see that Castle Star got a beautiful clear run up on the outside, powered away to win nicely. On the other side of the coin, Massetto, who was held up, ran into all sorts of trouble a couple of times in the race, and he made his move at the same time as Castle Star, but was blocked twice. I think that if he'd been able to get a clear run through, I'm not saying he would have beaten Castle Star, but I think he would have bustled him up. And because of that, I think Massetto could be very good value, assuming that he's going to cope with the ground. And I can only believe that Donica, who of course will consult with his father, the great Aidan, and of course his brother Joseph and all the others over there in that team, I think they think this horse is going to handle the ground. And I think he represents a bit of value. He's also drawn 10 of the 17 runners, just about in the middle. So his jockey will be able to follow the pace or wherever they think the best part of the track is on day 1. So at 7 to 1 each way, having drifted from 6 to 1 earlier on Monday, with 4 places being paid by most firms, I think Massetto has got a really good chance here. And I think he's going to run a massive race in the Coventry Stakes for Donica and for Gavin Ryan. So that's my first 2 selections. No bet in race number 3 on day 1. So I take you to the 420, which is one of the showcase races of the meeting. The Group 1 St James's Palace Stakes is over the Rhine Mile for the 3-year-old colts. And this is always a tremendous race. You know, you can go back to so many renewals. Remember Frankel, of course, getting a fright in this race over a decade ago. Well, this year we've got the 2,000 guineas winner, Poetic Flair, who lost out in the Irish 2,000 guineas by that much to Max Swiney, who of course was the 3rd leg of our fantastic 4-figure treble just a few weeks ago. Well, Poetic Flair is a great horse. I really love this horse, trained by Jim Bolger. He is tough as nails, and he handles the fast ground, as we saw at Newmarket. I'm sure he's going to run another very, very big race. Mustardaf is 3 from 3 for the Gosdens, but at a much lower level, his best performance being last time out in a listed race, the Heron Stakes at Sandown. All his runs have come on easy ground. Will he cope with the ground, and has he got the class? John Gosden hasn't been very bullish about his 3-year-olds in media interviews over the last few days, so I'm not overly confident about Mustardaf. Now, Aidan O'Brien, who's won this race plenty of times, has got 3 in it. He's got Battleground, who ran poorly in the 2,000 guineas. He's got Wembley, who run poorly in both the English and Irish 2,000 guineas. And he's got an outsider called Ontario. Well, I'm sure that both Battleground and Wembley are capable of better form, but they just don't inspire huge confidence on what they've done so far this season. On the other hand, Joseph O'Brien's Thunder Moon was a really good 2-year-old, Group 1 winner over 7 furlongs, 3rd to St Mark's Basilica in the Dewhurst. He hated the soft ground, I think, at Newmarket in the 2,000 guineas, where he was eased off and finished last there. So I wouldn't rule out him running a much better race here. And Lucky Vega, who's been 3rd in the 2,000 guineas for Jessica Harrington and 4th in the Irish, 2,000 guineas, where he ran a strange race, getting outpaced and then sort of picking up the bit again from a furlong and a half out and keeping on. He's one that you wouldn't rule out. Chindit, the Greenham Stakes winner, was 5th in the Guineas. He's back for more for Richard Hannon. And Godolphin have a couple of runners. Highland Avenue, who won the 9 furlong listed Fielden Stakes at HQ in April, and then was 2nd in that race to Mostardaf at Sandown last time out. I wouldn't rule out him reversing the placings with Mostardaf. But my selection here is what appears to be, on the face of it at least, the 2nd string for Godolphin, La Barossa, trained by Derby-winning handler Charlie Appleby and the mount of James Doyle. Now, he's a nice horse, is La Barossa. He won the Group 3 Tattersall Stakes at Newmarket last September, and then he went on to finish 5th in a Group 1 in France on desperately heavy ground to Aidan O'Brien's Van Gogh. He didn't like heavy ground. Indeed, I don't think he likes soft ground very much at all. And now he ran a very good race in the Craven Stakes on his reappearance, beaten 3/4 of a length by Master of the Seas. Now, Master of the Seas, of course, went on to be beaten just a nose or a short head in the 2,000 guineas by Poetic Flame. So, on a line through that horse, you have to place La Barossa on a decent surface within a length of Poetic Flare. He went on to run in the Irish 2,000 guineas, did La Barossa, and he faded from a furlong and a half out in the very, very soft ground in that rainy, rain-soaked Curragh renewal. My way of thinking is, and this is my logic here, such as it is that the better ground is really going to suit La Barossa. And on that line through Master of the Seas, I think he represents a very good value each way bet against the likes of Poetic Flare and Lucky Vega and such. And I think he's really overpriced, because at the time of this recording, 20 to 1 is being offered each way, and 5 places at 20 to 1 each way with William Hills, 4 places with Bet Victor and a few others. So I think 20 to 1 is a really good price about La Barossa, and I'm just not convinced that he's the 2nd string of Godolphin. I think on this ground, he could easily bounce back massively from that slightly disappointing run in the 2,000 guineas in Ireland, and I prefer to judge him on that really good run in the Craven, which if he had come straight here from the Craven would have seen him probably at about 5.5, 6 to 1, something like that. At 20 to 1, that's the kind of bet that people like me that like to play at bigger prices are looking for. And if you haven't heard me say it before, or you're new here, do remember when you're placing your bets to try and place your bets with a bookmaker who's going to give you the starting price. If it proves to be bigger than the price you take, it can make a really big difference to your profit and loss at the end of the season. And we're always looking at the longer view. This isn't about always winning every day and, really socking it to him. We're playing the game over the longer view to try and show a profit over the course of the season. And that's something we've been doing in great style so far. So La Barossa in the St. James's Palace Stakes at Royal Ascot at 4:20. Just one other for you, and that is in the 5 o'clock race, the 2.5 mile Ascot Stakes Handicap. Now, this is a race, a real marathon, and a lot of the horses won't actually stay the trip. So I have looked at this race for quite a long time and looking for horses that really do genuinely see out the 2.5 miles. Now, Willie Mullins has a great record in this race, and he's got 3 very interesting runners, all with chances: MC Muldoon, Ryaport and Royal Illusion. I couldn't really choose between the 3. Emmett Mullins as well has a very interesting one called Cape Gentleman, who's done well over hurdles as well during the winter. And Alan King saddles last year's winner, Coeur de Lion, who is only £3 higher. So we know he stays, and he's probably been trained for an attempt to win again. But my choice here is Just Hubert, who's trained by Willie Muir, who you see here, trains alongside Chris Grassick now, and Danny Tudhope is on this one. I think Danny could have a great day on day 1 at Royal Ascot. Now, Just Hubert, really good sort, a winner of 5 of his 21 races. He stays 2 miles very well, and he also showed he stays 2.5 miles by winning the Goodwood Handicap last season at Glorious Goodwood over this trip. The other thing about him as well He absolutely loves fast ground. He really does like to hear his hooves rattle, even though he can handle a much softer surface, as we saw on his reappearance when he finished third to a horse that I tipped up at a good price, that one called Frankenstella. That was a very good run at Newbury, and I think he really will have put himself spot on for this run on Tuesday in the Ascot Stakes. He's got a lot in his favour, in my view. Now, I have noticed that since I made the selection, a few firms have started to shorten him up, but the one still standing their ground, and hopefully they'll continue to stand it, is Bet365, who are offering 16 to 1 each way. And that is a nice price for Just Hubert, who I think will run really well. The yard in good form, of course. They had the big winner in the Coronation Cup just the other week. And I can see Just Hubert really coming home well up the hill in the closing stages. Stays longer than the mother-in-law, as good old Simon Holt says very often in commentary. And I think he's going to give us a great run as our fourth and final selection on day one. So that's it. Let's hope that we get a really good run for our money. Tipping big price winners at Royal Ascot is no easy task, but I'm up for the challenge. I hope you're going to stay with me throughout the 5 days. If we don't manage to hit the target day one, we've got 4 other days to get our teeth into, but it would be nice, wouldn't it, to get off on the right foot and start off with at least a good shout here and there on day one. Whatever you choose to back, have a great Royal Ascot. I'll be back Tuesday afternoon with my selections for Wednesday, when we may well be looking at a completely different scenario, with thunderstorms being forecast for Wednesday afternoon at Royal Ascot. But from me, Paul Alster, for now, I'll say goodbye and look forward to you joining me again tomorrow for more from Royal Ascot 2021 here at Sportsbet TV.